Willkommen im Kunstfoyer der Versicherungskammer Kulturstiftung. Wir widmen unsere Sommerausstellung 2026 Grönland. Inzwischen spüren wir alle die Klimafolgen sehr stark. Nicht nur in München, europaweit, aber eben auch in Grönland. Warum nehmen wir Grönland als Thema? Weil inzwischen ja dieses Land zur Projektionsfläche verkommen ist. Es geht eigentlich nur noch darum, geopolitische Fragestellungen, wer macht das Rennen im Hinblick auf die Ressourcen. Der Klimawandel wird immer extremer und ermöglicht dann natürlich auch, sich Gedanken zu machen, ja, wer kann sich da bedienen. Wer völlig aus dem Fokus gerät, ist die Bevölkerung Grönlands. Und dafür haben wir Ragnar Axelsson gewonnen, der seit über 30 Jahren in der Arktis insgesamt in allen 8 Staaten unterwegs war schon und das Leben der Menschen, die da immer schon ressourcenschonend unterwegs waren, dokumentiert hat und jetzt speziell eben mal seinen Fokus auf Greenland richtet, auf die Inuit. Es ist eine faszinierende Geschichte und wir können Ihnen hier diesen Zeitzeugen präsentieren, nicht nur mit seinen tollen Fotografien in Schwarz-Weiß, eben nicht der touristische Blick auf dieses Land, sondern eben auch mit seinen Texten. Viel Freude damit. Es ist wirklich ein sehr, sehr besonderes Projekt und sehr wichtig, denn wie gesagt, wir vergessen komplett, dass es da eine Bevölkerung gibt, durch die Berichterstattung, durch Social Media, durch alles, was das überlagert. Viel Freude damit mit unserem Zeitzeugen Ragnar Axelsson.
My name is Ragnar Axelsson. I'm a photographer and I live in Iceland. And I've been mainly focusing on the past 40 years, documenting disappearing life in the Arctic. And I've been traveling through all 8 Arctic countries and witnessing changes of daily life of people. And I think it is important to give them a voice for the world to see. And yeah, it's something I've been kind of very much focusing on, and I think I will try to continue and finish that, a big book about all 8 Arctic countries. This exhibition is more about a Greenlandic village, Itakotormit in Greenland, which is I started photographing 34 years ago and followed a friend of mine, Hjalmar Hunter. And when I came there first, there was about 640, 60 people. Now there are 330. There were 3 villages. 2 of them have been abandoned, Cape Hope and Cape Topin. And now it's kind of in a position of survival. Will it live or will it die? If they get an airport, it will live. So, and the sea ice is not as safe as it used to be. When I came there first, it was safe, it was reliable, and now it is not. And when I asked my friend if I could grant you one wish, what would it be? And the answer was, give me 25 years back in time when the sea ice was safe. Being a hunter is a tough thing to do. The hunting community has been, in Itakotormit and Skorpsund, has been going down. Some years ago when I came first, it was 34 or 5 years ago, there were hunters everywhere. Now there are 10 left. And the sea ice is not as safe as it used to be, and it worries them. And sometimes you're fighting really for your life getting back home. And this is my friend Hjalmar on the sea ice. It was thin at the time when we took that photograph, and his best hunting partner, Conrad, and he was his wife's brother, he died when he fell through the ice. So it's very sad for him to talk about that. But this is the reality of the hunting life in this area. There are stories that the world don't hear much about. And I think it's very important to document this kind of life because it's not an easy one. They've been attacked for being hunters, but the only fresh meat they get is from hunting. And they have a quota for polar bears. And the polar bear is 13 times more polluted than next animal on the planet. So it's kind of a poison food. And how long it will last, I don't know. No one really knows, but they hope they can be hunters. Hjalmar is getting nearly 70 years old, and his shoulder is hurting, so we don't know how long he will be a hunter. The young generation are not very interested in being hunters. It's a tough life, being in the cold, on the sea ice, and it's especially when it's getting more and more dangerous. It can break up in minutes. When they have sea current, ocean currents coming under the ice and breaking it up, and then there's a fight getting back home sometimes. This is Little Bent's brother. His name is Jens Emil, and he was the last man standing in the village of Cape Hope. There was a polar bear that came knocking on his door, and you could see the footprints on the window, and he had to bring that polar bear down because he was attacking his house. And I photographed him when he was leaving the village for the last time, and we were taking him back, me and Hjalmar, and he looked back, sadness in his eyes, and said something. And Hjalmar told me, he said, "There's no hope in Cape Hope anymore." He was leaving his home for the last time, and the storms and the wind is taking over. One by one, each house is, as you see here, filled up with snow. Those moments here behind me is the photographs when the dogs were cut loose from the dog sled and they were chasing a polar bear. And he ran up to an iceberg and the polar bear followed. And the dogs followed him. He was on top and it was a rumble, like a fight with them. The dogs would kill a polar bear. If there are many, they just kill him. So it's a very sad moment when you see a polar bear fall, but that's the way I have to show them respect for having to do that, because it's the only fresh meat they have. And to photograph them, they allowed me to do so. But the sea ice is very unpredictable now. It used to be safe, but now it is not as safe, and it can break up. And when this moments happened, was Elmer came and picked me up, and when we went on the sea ice, I saw a crack in the ice. He had been telling me a few hours before, "Can you hear the sea ice?" And I said, "No, I can't hear anything." And he said, "Listen," and you could hear it rumbling. And he said, "There's a current coming." He had the sixth sense of understanding what was going to happen. And when we followed that polar bear, I saw a crack in the ice, and I said to Hjalmar, "There's a crack. It wasn't there 2 hours ago." And he said, "There's a wave coming under the ice. We have to be fast." So when we turned back, a few hours later, if you see the big picture of the polar bear on the top of the iceberg, which was about 30-meter high icebergs and 100 meters, it was 100 meters high, and the iceberg he was standing on was about 30 meters. It's like two icebergs in one. And what happened was 8-9 hours later, the current broke all the ice, and the iceberg floated to sea. And if he would have been out there hunting, it would have been very hard, even impossible, to get back to safety, because the ice breaks up very fast and it floats away from land, so there's no way back. So this is the danger they are in now sometimes. And but those people are tough, and that is something I want to show with respect for their way of living. Skorpsund, the fjord itself, and the Roscoe Mountains are among the most spectacular places I've been to. And the strange things about Skorpsund is that you feel like there's somebody there, and you look around, you look behind you, there's nobody. And you can't describe it, but I talked to a friend of mine, a hunter. He said, "Could you feel it?" And I said, "Yeah, there was somebody behind me." And he said, "That's the spirits of the fjord, so you're connected to them." And he told me that when you go out with the hunters, you have to be in good mood, and you have to be positive, because it's going to be your greatest journey. If you're negative, it's going to be your worst nightmare. So it taught me to be humble and positive when I go there, because nature either accepts you or it rejects you, and then you're doomed. So be positive, and it's going to be great. The mountains, the Roscoe Mountains, is a beautiful mountain ridge, and when I asked my friend Hjalmar when we were heading back home from the sea ice in the cold conditions, and we were chatting, and I asked him, "Have you been to the Roscoe Mountains?" And he looked at me and said with a smile in his face, "What should I do there? There's nothing there." So you always learn. It's about hunting. That's their life. When hunting, like seal, they have to give the dog teams. The dogs are eating the seal, so they have to catch seal. You know, a lot of them. So they have a hole in the ice and a net underneath, so they go out and check on it. And I go with him. I go with Hjalmar, and it was the moments of when we were checking on it. It was a very cold night, and very cold, and snow drift coming, and the seal was peeking up. I didn't see it. Then suddenly I saw something, and Hjalmar took it down and shot it, and then he drags it back for the dogs. And this is life, how it is. They sell the skin of the seal, but it doesn't. That's a part of the problem with hunting and hunters, that they are getting fewer. It's more and more difficult to sell the skin. So the income they had is gone. Well, the sea ice is in front of the village. This is in front of Skorpsund village itself, and Itakodormit, as it is called, and in Greenlandic. And the sea ice it used to be very safe, and they could travel across the fjord in June and by end of June. But now it is like this year. It was impossible in end of March, beginning of April. So. And now the sea ice freezes over later in the autumn and melts earlier in the springtime. So this period of hunting on the sea ice is shorter than it used to be, and the sea ice is not as safe as it used to be. It is just a fact that the glaciers and sea ice is declining or melting. They're not doing it for fun. Our planet is in that phase of warming up. When I'm documenting life in Greenland and in all the Arctic countries, I focus on people in their environment. And what was something to do fast, I had to do fast, was things happening outside, which was hunters. The women were at home. There's only one female hunter in Itakodormit. And when they catch seal skin, the women take over the skin and carving the skin. And this is in Magt Haljaraks from Itakodormit. She's in her cabin, and her husband coming home. And they were very nice. And this is Kondine, Hjalmar's wife, great friend, and I've been following them for 34 years.